next up, we'll talk about like a hot topic that's been going around across the country. A lot of teams have done this. I've seen mixed reactions from multiple people. I feel like diehard fans hate it. The national media as a whole doesn't really care. So I want to get your opinion on it, Gerald. Do you care that the spring game is canceled?
Like, do I care? Yeah, I think it's a cool thing, right? It's fun to go out and have the event, and have the fan events and all of that. But like, from what college football is right now, it makes sense to me, right? You're playing more games than you ever have. Texas, it used to be, you'd be off from December to, February, March, right? And now they're playing into like deep into January. And so like football is a physical, violent game. And so giving guys more time to rest up, to heal their bodies, right? I think being able to mirror and Texas is going to be mirroring kind of what the NFL does from their schedule. And so, it works for them, and they play even more games and even deeper into the year. So I think it's something to monitor. Again, I love watching the spring game. I love being able to, my kids and I, we all get together, we watch it, we have a good time. Like, so I get that, right? You're losing a tradition, you're losing that, but based on what college football is now and the schedule that it has, like, it makes sense logistically for it to go away. Am I sad? Yeah, absolutely. I love the orange and white game, but from a logical standpoint, here's a tradition going by the wayside, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, so Sark actually, this is his quote on it on the Kay Adams show. A couple reasons why. He explained, over the last 2 years, we played 30 games. That's a lot for college football. 14 2 years ago, 16 this year. And I just mentioned we've had 25 guys get invited to the NFL Combine the last 2 years. So we've got a lot of young players on our roster. We have 21 mid-year high school kids that just showed up. And so the development that's needed for these guys to get ready for the fall is a little bit different than it used to be. He also goes on to say our approach is going to be a little bit more NFL driven, kind of more of an OTA style early on. And as we grow into more of the scrimmage formats in the second half of spring ball, that I just don't know if the rolling the ball out, playing the game when we only get 15 practices is the best for us to maximize the opportunities that we get. So it's going to be a little bit of a different approach, but I think college football is changing right now, and we need to do a great job as a coach of adapting to college football, and that's what we're trying to do. So again, like we said, you're playing way more games. You're expecting a lot more from these kids who, let's be honest here, a lot of them just came from high school. That is a big jump to go from college or from high school to college and then play all these games and then also play a spring game on top of that. So the worry for me, and I've heard this floated out there, and I kind of disagree with it, is it will hurt the local economies. I do agree with that in some towns. I do think in some towns that could hurt the local economy. I don't see that in Austin. I don't see that in like Lincoln. Those are pretty big towns that produce a lot of money year round, especially with the fan bases they have. Maybe there are some towns like Madison, Wisconsin. Let's be honest here. That's not a big economy. If they cancel their spring game, it probably would hurt the local economy and local businesses. So I think those smaller towns probably should stay with their spring game, or at least, hey, you make a lot of money as a football team. If you can't do that, maybe distribute a certain amount of money that local businesses lost, because it is important to those local businesses for the local economy. So I do see that side in certain situations. But I agree, like, at this point, it's kind of just a free practice for other teams to look at your roster and be like, hey, this guy that was third string is pretty good. We could use him. Why don't we offer him this? Whereas they're not going to be able to do that, because unless they're spying on your practices, which, hey, could be happening. We don't know that. People have been accused of that in college and have done it in the NFL.
A lot of talk of drones.
Yeah. So, and hey, right next to the highway, I believe, the practice field in Austin. So that wouldn't be that hard to spy on. Someone pull over to the highway, get your binoculars out and look out there. So, hey, and this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Teams would not shock me if they do that, but it does. That made it even easier for them to do the spring game. So I understand it. I do think it's cool. I do think it's a cool atmosphere. I do think they should pay back to the fans by maybe, having a day or two of like, they go out, open stadium, and like autograph session or something like that. I think that would be really cool. You can switch it up. It doesn't have to just be nothing completely, maybe an adapted type thing, but we'll have to see. I'm not big into it either way, but I definitely understand it from the head coaching perspective.
Yeah, I would love to see them keep some of the Fan Fest stuff, keep the signatures and the autographs and all of that. I think, again, it is a fun event to take the family to, go meet the players, get some signatures, take pictures with the cheerleaders and hook them and all that. Like, I understand like the event side of it and the fan access side of it, because ultimately when push comes to shove, like, the fans are why they're out there. The fans are how they're able to subsidize these things. So like, I think adding in some sort of fan event or fan experience would be an interesting thing and a way to mitigate some of that. But I think having a fan experience and having a spring game can be two separate things. Right, being able to get them out there, and again, looking after the health of student athletes is of the utmost importance to me, because football is a violent game. And even in the spring game where you're not going 100%, let's be real, right? Like, but it's just more wear and tear on the body. Football is a full contact sport. And so you have to be aware of that. They're playing more football than they ever have before. So again, there are a lot of logistic reasons I think it's the right move. And I think there's a way to mitigate some of what fans feel like they're losing in this. Again, have a fan fest, have an autograph session, have a whatever at the stadium, and get folks out there.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. Like, you have to keep the fans engaged throughout the whole offseason, because let's be honest, it's a long offseason. And then also, there are people that can't afford to go to the regular games. And this is like,
Yep.
they're get to go see Texas play football once a year type thing. So that does suck
Yep.
as well. So I definitely agree. You got to do something to keep the fan engagement going, because they're super important. Like, without fans, none of this exists. NFL doesn't
Yep.
exist. College football doesn't exist. Major League Baseball doesn't exist. None of it exists. So definitely important. You got to keep the fans in mind. And you've seen that throughout like professional sports as well. Like, when ratings go down, those are leagues that don't keep their fans in mind. They don't really care about their fans. And when you alienate the fans, you're going to see it in the ratings. And we'll see. It's a new changing landscape of college football. I think in the next 5 years, you're going to either see ratings go up or go down. I really don't think it's going to stay in the middle, because it's going to be a completely different sport pretty soon.
Yeah, I think they're setting themselves up for the future, and I think in a smart way. And it's going to be interesting to see how folks react, especially with the new talks of more changes to the playoff and things like that. It's going to be really interesting to see what college football is in the next 5 years.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've had 100 years worth of change in the last 5 to 6 years. So we'll see. Maybe we get another 100 years worth of change in the next 5 to 6 years. But again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. And also let us know your opinion. Do you want the spring game canceled? Do you not want it canceled? What is your, I guess, in between solution as well? So please do that. Again,